Hello, and welcome to the Scott Mize Show, a podcast focused on body and hormone optimization and improvement for anyone who's looking to get jacked, build muscle, lose fat, improve their hormones, feel better, or improve their health. Here, I interview experts in lab work, hormones, bodybuilding, coaches, bodybuilders, and everyday people and senior executives who have improved their hormones and improved their body. Just a quick disclaimer before we get started. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Anything you hear should not be taken as medical advice. Please consult with your physician before making any changes to your diet, exercise, or supplementation protocols. This podcast is brought to you by Element Electrolytes. Element Lemonade is finally here. It's great for a hot summer day, workout, or just enjoying with a cold beverage at your desk. Check it out and get your free sample pack of their favorite flavors, along with any regular purchase when you use my custom link, which is drinklmnt.com/Scott Mize. The sample pack is great for anyone who's interested in trying their most popular flavors or anyone who wants to introduce a friend to Element. Go to drinklmnt.com/Scott Mize to claim this awesome deal. Now on to the show. This podcast is brought to you by BioLongevity Labs for all your peptide and bioregulator needs, including retatrutide, aka GLP-3, Mots, 5-amino-1-MQ, BPC 157 and TB 500 for tissue and joint recovery and healing, as well as digestion, and much, much more. Head to biolongevitylabs.com and use code SCOTTM, that's Scott M, all one word, to save and support the show. Thank you. All right, today back on the podcast we have Joseph Pircher. He's a good friend of mine, great friend of mine, NPC Superheavyweight bodybuilder. See what I did there? And incredible coach to bodybuilders and everyone who wants to improve their physique. Joseph also hosts the One More Rep podcast on his YouTube channel, where he has fantastic interviews with competitors, top coaches, and he also posts detailed Q&As and bodybuilding vlogs, which are packed with insights and in-depth information. We had a podcast 6 months ago on this channel. Go check that out if you haven't yet. It's a great intro to Joseph and where he was at the time, but we're back. Welcome to the show.
That's quite an intro. Thank you. Hopefully I live up to all that.
You do. You continue to. So yeah, like I said, last we spoke was 6 months ago. I re-listened to that episode today. You were starting prep. Had a short but successful off season where you kept at 282 pounds. So yeah, let's pick it up from there. Talk about prep. How did it go? Yeah. What was different from past years? And then we can roll on from there.
Okay, so what was different? Probably the shortest off season that I had ever taken, which at the time or out like zoomed out look at it, you could say, well, then maybe you didn't give yourself enough time to make the needed progress or whatever the case is. For me, after having long off seasons, I think we talked about that on the last one where I was, away from the stage for 3 years. I actually felt like it ended up being a benefit that it was a shorter off season. I didn't let myself get too far out of shape. So if you had asked me before the start of this prep, this most recent prep, how do you feel like your preps go, or how do you feel like your body responds to the dieting process? I would have said I always feel like it needs to be very high effort. I'm always getting crushed with cardio and output. I'm crushed with low food. I'm starving early in the process. Training takes a hit early in the process. And man, it seems like maybe half of the time it ended up with me being peeled, and then half of the time it didn't even look like I did the work, which is a huge bummer after you go through preps like the ones that I've done. Yeah. All of that was not the case this time at all. I chalk it up to, I think, being, more muscular than I've ever been. At this point in my career, I would say for where I am and what I need, I'm with the best coach that I've ever had, Justin Compton. And at that point now, like that was our second prep together. So just more time of letting it all kind of marinate and him figuring me out and, being able to work with a bigger, more muscular body, this prep was a breeze compared to any other prep that I've ever done. Honestly, it almost feels weird. I've always kind of worn like the high effort, do whatever it takes type mentality as like almost like a badge of honor. Like, hey, I might not be that good, but man, I work really hard, right? And but I can honestly say the majority of this prep, it felt, dare I say, easy. Like, I can remember at one point I got really sick. I would say like 9 weeks out, and I was on a great trajectory already at that point. Every time I kind of would prod him for a little feedback, he'd be like, "Yep, like I had a schedule. Like I just want to keep you on that type of pace." And then I got really sick at 9 weeks out, and I was bummed. I was like, "Man, am I not going to look the same? Is it not going to end up being the same?" And man, I guess because there was still so much time left, or maybe because we had it set up prior, in a good spot, whatever. It probably took me a week after being sick to get back into the full swing of everything. And then another week of just being on the prep, and all of a sudden I sent him a check-in. I think I was about 5.5 weeks out, and I sent him a check-in one morning, and just kind of out of nowhere, he was like, "Whoa, you're ready! Like, don't do any more cardio." I had been doing the stairs the whole time, and he was like, "No more machine cardio. Like, I just want you to walk and track your steps." And like we're gonna start like modulating this on a way tighter basis. We basically did like check-ins every other day or every third day from that point, and he'd bring my weight up and then back down for we would do 3 days of bringing it up and then 3 days of bringing it down, and then it would look better than the last time we were at that weight. And that check-in that I sent him at 5 weeks out, I was like 226. And I ended up going on stage at 224. So,
wow. How did it feel when he said that? When he said, "We're ready, pull back"?
Oh man, I can remember feeling a big wave of relief. Because it was like I said, it had felt like easy to that point. So it's not like I was dying in terms of exhaustion, but after having a couple preps that don't go the way that you want in terms of the look, especially from a conditioning perspective. And, as my career has progressed coaching and like, I don't know, content wise, I guess you would say, you have more eyes on you, and it feels like there's a lot more pressure than when I was a younger bodybuilder. So the first time that I got on stage as like a full-time coach person in the industry was the worst showing of my life. I totally bombed. I looked like I was still 6 weeks out. So then for this time, for it to be ready so early, and from Justin saying something like that, he's not going out of his way to volunteer like BS feedback. So reading that from him, it was just a big relief. It was like, okay, I don't have to worry about this one aspect now anymore. Like, we're still going to diet. I'm still going to, do everything that you tell me. I still got to do the training and everything. I got to work my ass off to practice my presentation. But like, we can cross off conditioning because I know that's going to be there. And that was awesome.
Yeah. It's funny. On the last podcast, I asked you what you like most about coaching. And one of the things you said was having guys who work really hard and being able to tell them at that point where they're like ready to pull back.
Yeah.
Because you know how good it feels.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the best. Yeah. It's awesome. It was a little bit of a mind fuck, to be honest with you, because it happened really fast.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I can't really put my finger, even reflecting on it, I can't really put my finger on why. I will say I used a lot of these mitochondrial peptides that are kind of new, and I experimented with them myself for the first time through this prep. And, I'd imagine there were probably changes that I made at 6 or 7 weeks out, and, maybe it was the 5-amino 1-MQ or something, you can say any of these things, right? but it was truly just kind of out of nowhere. Like, you know, I can remember checking in with him 4 days prior, and I wouldn't have said I was 4 days away from being ready, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was kind of out of nowhere. So then it was almost like a little bit of a mind fuck, because then it was like the hard work is almost over also. So it was a little bit of a balance, like, okay, like I can kind of settle into this kind of new routine from this point forward.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Talking about the peptides, were there any that you think made a big difference, or was it too hard to tell with taking a cocktail?
No, I like to think that I layered them in thoughtfully.
Okay.
And that was more so not because I had this grand scheme or because I'm the most patient person, but because it was more so I kind of was exposed to them almost one at a time. So then it was like, okay, like almost that whole off season, even though I wasn't using it, and didn't have plans to use it until the prep, I was learning and listening and trying to learn about retatrutide, right? So then that went in before anything else. And so I noticed a difference. I noticed a big benefit. And then it was like, okay, then people are using SLU to go along with this. So it's like, okay, I'll layer that in. And I started at a moderate amount, and it was just those two. So I think those two alone are the two, I would say, meat and potato mitochondrial peptides in terms of the fat loss or contest prep phase. For me, the biggest thing out of all of them that this provided me was I hear it used as or coined as food noise over and over again for the retatrutide. And that was the case for me. I love food. I love to eat. And I am often at a point, like I said, where early in the prep, I have to eat such little food that the food noise is very high throughout. And from 14 weeks out, I'm living 1 hour at a time, just waiting until I can eat again, staring at the clock. And that just totally removed that for me. I never had that. It was like my contest prep happened as background software, and my life just continued as normal. Truly.
Yeah.
It didn't really feel like I was in contest prep, and that was all that I could think about and ruminate on. So it just made it like way lower stress. Things between Kelsey and I were just fantastic throughout. They always are, but I was just able to be much better for her because I wasn't so obsessed and focused on, oh, I'm hungry, or when do I get to eat again, or I can't have this. Like, it truly just made it way more sustainable. Yeah. So I would say that aspect of being on a retatrutide was probably the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, I can relate, definitely. And what was your mental state going into the show? Like, you talked about how you felt it 5 weeks out, but how did you feel going into the show? And which show? I know you changed which show you were going to do. So why? Yeah. Which show did you end up doing, and why?
Yeah, I started at what was, I guess, what would have been 22 weeks out or 24 weeks out of the show that I ended up doing. Wow. I did the Dexter Jackson Classic down here in Florida. I had planned for the Florida State show, and it was 2 weeks after what I ended up doing. And that was just simply because I was ready. And honestly, then as I started getting closer, I was glad that I had this idea to do the earlier show. Right. One, because like the production and the quality of the show sounded way better from everything that I heard. Like they hired like Gilco Productions to do all the photos and videos. The venue was awesome. And then, I got to meet and chop it up with Dexter Jackson. Like it was a pretty cool thing as a bodybuilding fan.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So it was definitely the right choice. And then for as much as I talked about how much easier this prep was, by the time I got to that show, I had prepped for 22 weeks or 23 weeks, and I was ready for it to be over, to be totally frank with you. So I don't, and when I look back, I think Justin nailed every aspect of it from a coaching perspective. And even so, I think, I don't know if it's the peptides or what it was, or, you know, just from being so efficient in terms of like my body's capability at that point or what, but I can look back and there are certain pictures and looks that I had maybe 3 weeks out at 228 where I'm like, this might have been the best look. So I started to notice at the end, like, man, if I would have not done that earlier show and then continued the prep process for another 2 weeks on top of it, I probably would have withered away to some degree. So, yeah, what was that what you had asked about?
That was great. And then what, like going into the show, like a week out,
what was my
days
mindset?
out, what was your mindset like?
You know what? I have to be honest with you, and it's you know, I don't want to sound like woe is me. Like this is I'm so grateful for the life that I get to live and the position that I have, and that people trust me to, you know, to help them, and that people watch the stuff that I put out. But because there is like just way more eyes on you, and I'm not anybody special. I don't have 10,000 followers or 100,000 followers, anything like that. But there are way more eyes on you than when I was just a regular person that went to a regular job and then showed up at a bodybuilding show once a year, you know? I think the last 2 years, especially, as sad as it sounds, I enjoy the day of the show much less. I feel a tremendous amount of pressure the last couple of years when I reflect on it. Way more than when I was a younger bodybuilder that would just like diet. I wouldn't post on Instagram. Nobody had any idea unless that you went to my gym or you were my coach. Nobody knew that I was getting ready for a show. And then I would just show up on show day and I felt like the mayor. I was backstage talking to everybody. Like, you know, I was excited for it, you know? Whereas the last couple of years I noticed I just feel a tremendous amount of pressure, and that's my own mindset. I've thought about how I can change that and like kind of made notes on how I can do a better job managing that like next year. Like, you know, I don't need to have these outside expectations or anything like that. But I think part of that is just the more that I've put into this and the longer I've been in it, I have a higher standard for myself that I want to live up to. Like I want to do well. I put a lot into this. I care about this a lot. So I think that to some degree, that level of, I'm always going to feel that level of pressure.
Yeah, I think that's totally normal. It's really funny because I don't think you've expressed that on your channel yet, but I felt the exact same way about my first show. I hated it. I was really negative.
Yeah.
I was kind of like neutral to slightly negative going in, and then
Yeah.
the actual day of the show, and especially after I lost, I was super negative. I was like downright disrespectful to the people who came to see me, you know? And I felt horrible. And then I had an awesome time at North Americans because I was like, I'm just going to choose to have a good time and be present and enjoy the process, enjoy the journey. And like, I did all this, like, why am I going to be miserable doing the thing that like I put all this time into, I paid all this money to do? It's a choice. Like,
I chose to do this and I did it already.
Yeah.
Like it's like, this is it. It culminated in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I hear that.
Yeah.
It's a tough, I hear you. And it's, I think that just goes to show how good of a guy that you are, and that you have this level of self-awareness to say, man, that wasn't right of me at that first show. But also, man, we put so much into this. It's a tough pill to swallow when it doesn't go your way. And it's here and there. And man, you're up there for 2 minutes. You have this whole prep and all of these thoughts ongoing every day of what you're going to look like or how it's going to go for you. Or the head judge is going to look right at you and call you right to the middle. And then when it doesn't go that way, it's like a swift reality check, and it can be tough to swallow.
Yeah. I mean, it's like like you said, it's like 2 minutes on stage. I spent 90% of the time in the middle, and then I got switched for the last 10%. And then I was like, is there any chance? And then, that was it. That was pre-J.
I thought you got robbed for what it's worth. I mean, that's just one opinion of somebody that wasn't there. But also, you came back and beat that same guy at North Americans in front of a more qualified judging panel.
Thank you. Yeah, that was very satisfying.
Yeah.
He was a nice guy. Chatted with him both.
Yeah,
both
no,
shows.
Nothing personal, but we're competing.
Yeah,
it's a contest.
Yeah, no, it was really gratifying to do that. That was like kind of the cherry on top of obviously having a good time presenting a look I was really proud of, much more proud of than the first show. So that felt good. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It's so short. And also the thing I hate about shows, especially local shows, there's so much waiting. Like, it's not just that it's so short, it's also that there's so much waiting around the shortness,
It's such a long day. Like, you're just constantly in this state of like anticipation and an anxiety when it's like, and then it's like all of this for just 90 seconds up there.
Yeah. At least with like other sports, like it was similar with rowing where the time you practice compared to the time you race is like so disproportionate, but at least you're like warming up and like you're lining up against your competition and all this. Whereas with bodybuilding, it's like you're on now. Go. And that's it. So, and you're literally like, you're not warming up before you get on stage. You're like getting cold.
No, I know. I like it. And honestly, if you're doing a good job, like you should just be laying around chilling and doing nothing. Like doing your best to do nothing.
So hard. Yeah. So how did the show go? What went well? What didn't go well? And what did you learn?
Yeah. It didn't go well placing wise. It didn't go my way. But I was stoked with the look. And again, like it is difficult that moment that you walk off stage and they never even called you to the middle. You feel like maybe they didn't even necessarily look at you. That's tough. But then, I feel like I do a pretty good job of pretty quickly pulling it back together. Because I've been in a situation where maybe I got a good placing. I've won a class, or placed high in a big class and didn't look my best, and you're like, nah, I don't know how I feel about this. On the flip side, this was one of my worst placings and by far the best look that I've ever had. And I think not only that it was the best stage look compared to all the other times I've been on stage, I truly think, other than maybe like I talked about, maybe at 3 weeks out, there was a couple days at a little bit of a heavier body weight that I personally just liked. But I think from like a conditioning standpoint, the best that I looked the entire prep were the moments that I was on stage. Like, I think it was executed from a coaching standpoint to perfection. So it ended up being a little bit weird, and it's like sour grapes, but I will just give you guys my honest perspective on it. So they put everyone that was, I think it was like 185 and up, all in one class. So it was basically light heavyweight, heavyweight, and super heavyweight. They just put us all in one class.
Wow.
I guess maybe they weren't expecting to have enough guys to fill all three classes or make them look like they were sizable. And it ended up being like 11 or 12 of us. That aspect of it ended up being cool because there was two call outs. Like there was like two, by the numbers, they separated us into two groups. And then there's a first call out, which it's been, man, I don't know that I've had that at a local show since 2017 or something, you know what I mean? Because so many guys do classic now and stuff. Like there's just, you don't get big numbers like that at a local show in an individual class. So I came out and I was in the first call out and I ended up fourth. So the guy that won the class won the whole show, and he was no bones about it. He was the clear winner. I remember seeing him backstage, And I hadn't seen him the whole show weekend, right? Like you're there the day before to tan and check in and all this stuff. I didn't see this guy the entire time. And then I'm just laying back there, and this guy walks by, and the whole time he's like in nothing but his trunks, by the way, which I found like just crazy. Like I'm covered up, you know what I mean? I'm in sweats, long sleeve shirt. This guy's just walking around bare ass, like in trunks the whole time, and he was enormous. I mean, I honestly thought he was like a guest poser or something. Big, like, you know, like Eastern European type guy that said that he moved here to win his pro card because he like there's so few pro cards in Europe, and he kept getting second. So he said that he was he told me in kg, and then I forget, I think he was 242 or 244 or something. So he won the show, and he looked awesome. He should have won. The next two guys that were in front of me, I was sour about, because frankly they were just the one guy was super muscular. The guy that was second was super muscular. He also would have been a super heavyweight. He was 235, I think he said. Very, very muscular. So to that aspect, I can understand. Just super soft, which was like frustrating. Yeah. The third guy that placed third, I just couldn't understand. I couldn't wrap my brain around it, because he was smaller than me and softer than me.
Yeah.
So when you look at it, the guys that placed ahead of me, two of them would have been super heavyweights, and then I'm assuming the other guy would have been a light heavyweight, to be honest with you. So had they put us all in individual classes, maybe I would have got a heavyweight class win, but it just doesn't matter. At that level, my expectation at this point when I go to like a local show is I want to win the overall. And so if I'm not the best guy there, then I just have more work to do. So I saw what that guy looked like. And so in my mind, like how he looked is like burned into my brain. And that's how I need to look the next time I get on stage.
Yeah. Yeah, I watched the live stream, and I do think you were overlooked. I thought you were definitely leaner than those two guys. It's funny, I've heard this from numerous people now at local shows, and I've actually heard people say the judges said this, that they pick a guy who's bigger and not in shape because they figure they have a better chance at nationals if they get in shape.
He's got 6 weeks to diet,
which is like.
I understand. And to be fair about that guy specifically that was second, he was like hyper muscular. Yeah. And the only thing that he was missing was conditioning, which is just a time thing. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, where if we're talking about like, you know, open bodybuilding, especially at, you know, whatever is the heaviest weight class in open bodybuilding, it's a muscle contest. And that guy had way more muscle than me. He looked like a bodybuilder way more than me. Yeah. So, you know, fair play. Yeah. Got to be bigger next time.
Yeah. And to your point of like, was your off season too short? Weren't you like 19 pounds heavier?
15. It was like 15 on the dot. I was crazy. 209 last August, and then 224 on the dot.
That's insane.
Before
I
walking
think you had
out.
a great off season.
No, it was. It turned out to be great. I mean, like when you take advantage of that post show period, like, and if you can dial it in and treat it like contest prep, that is, I truly believe if you do that, you keep a fair amount of PEDs in, and you're just on the money with the diet, and you have a coach that's also like aligned with the goal of, hey, we're going to use this period to really make progress. I think that you end up making a majority of your progress in that period.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I'm seeing it right now.
I know you are. You've done it multiple times.
Yeah. So do you think
sorry to cut you off, but I was going to say too, like, you know, from what I've seen, like, you know, even just the things that have become available in the last year, there's never been an easier time to take advantage of that post-show period. Yeah. Like specifically, I think about the use of a GLP. I stayed on a lower dose of retatrutide, and not only did it just completely remove my desire or the thought of enjoying other food, but it also, you know, your body weight's coming up, body fat's coming on. I used a crazy amount of GH, and you're eating tons and tons of food, and my insulin sensitivity remained like crazy. So there's never been an easier time to treat your post-show period like an extension of contest prep and take advantage of it. I mean, you put in all this work to get in shape. I almost feel like the biggest advantage or the biggest benefit that you can reap from spending all that time in prep and getting in like really dug out shape are the gains that are yet to come.
Yeah. And do you think you'll do a 22-week prep again, or you think
I won't? No, that's a good question. So I did that because I almost had Justin Harris PTSD because he, man, and nothing personal with Justin, but that's who helped me when I had that like worst conditioning look ever. And I say that because, you know, he got me bigger than I had ever been at that point, but I knew, you know, hey man, it's taken like pretty high effort, and it's usually taken pretty long preps for me to get in shape. Like, you know, hey, what do you think about starting at 24 weeks out? And he was like, nope, 16 weeks will be plenty. And then I got to like 22 weeks out, and I'm like, man, I'm still like really soft. Like, this is going to take a while. I'm like, what about 20 weeks? Like, let's compromise and do 20 weeks. He's like, nope, you don't need more than 16 weeks. So I'm like, okay, maybe he knows something that I don't. Maybe because I'm more muscular, it'll take less time. And then besides that, he just was in no rush until we got to 8 weeks out. And then I think he looked up and realized I was behind. So long story short, that was why I was like, okay, I will never do less than 20 weeks ever again. Like I can't ever go on stage looking like that ever again. Yeah. And then it was like the 14 and a half week mark of dieting when Justin was like, hey, you're ready to go. And it might've been like that 16 weeks of dieting mark where I still had like, I think my maximum fullness or size. So no, I probably won't ever, you know, unless I do another crazy big off season or I get like crazy soft, I'll do what I think is necessary. But as of right now, I would schedule myself probably for something like 18 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
you know, because I'm going to get sick.
You got sick too.
I was going to say, I'm going to get sick. I feel like every year I get sick for a week in contest prep. So that's a week that's out. And you got to think peak week is not a week you can count towards fat loss. Yeah. Like you should be ready to go. Yeah. So it's like, okay, if I started 18 weeks out, it's really like a 16-week diet. And I think that should land me right on the money the next time.
Yeah. I don't even know where I started. I wasn't paying attention.
I feel like you could be ready in 10 weeks, 10 or 12. You're one of those guys.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we definitely got ready early. But I don't think it was a detriment. I think it was last year. I think I got ready too early and I definitely started losing size, but not this year.
Why do you think that is? You know, not because you worked with Justin last year and then you worked with Dom this year. Do you think Dom just did a better job of managing it, or was it just a different body, or what?
I think it was a different body. I think we were just so far ahead last year.
Yeah.
You know, and Justin also inherited me at like 7 or 8 weeks out, to be fair to him.
So I didn't even realize that.
Yeah,
okay.
That's not.
And what, you were ready at 5 weeks out?
I mean, looking back, I was like, I wasn't glutes in, but I was very good lines at 8 weeks out. Like
yeah.
Year. And so after that, I just lost my legs. Like it all came out my quads.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it was just like. We also didn't lose fat as quickly at the start of this prep.
I remember you almost feeling in our conversations when you were getting the ball rolling, I almost felt like you were frustrated or a little impatient with that.
Yeah.
Early on.
I think part of it is we didn't start T3 until pretty far in. And as soon as I started T3, like the weight started shooting off. But before then it was like, it felt way harder than normal to lose.
Yeah.
So I think,
and looking back though, do you think it was like the big plan though was executed well then?
yeah,
Being that you didn't lose any size, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Especially it's always awesome like when you do two shows and that second show is the best look. Like
Yeah.
it feels like it all comes together just as you wanted it.
Yeah.
Because it was like, okay, well, this was the idea. Like I got up there the first time and then we made it even better this next time.
Yeah.
And in your case, where it's like that best look ever is at the biggest stage you've ever been on, you know, the best quality pictures and all this different stuff, like that's a killer feeling. Like regardless of how you place, like those photos and how you look are the trophy.
Yeah. No, I thought I did lose a lot of size actually. And then I saw the stage shots, even like cell phone shots, and my legs were like 50% bigger than I thought they were. So
awesome.
I was like, okay, we did something.
Yeah, the first Dom sent me private, even before you got a chance to send me anything, or before I got a chance to see anything like elsewhere. Dom privately sent me a side chest of you on stage, and I was like, damn, I think this is the best his legs have ever looked.
Yeah. No, it was a crazy peak. It was
awesome.
It was a different peak. I think my body responds really, really well to diuretics,
he's such a wizard with them also.
Yeah, he knows.
I don't know that there's anybody that knows how to use them better.
Yeah, yeah. And then, it was just, other than that, and the fact that Justin inherited me late, there wasn't that much difference. So I don't honestly think Justin did anything wrong. I just think, and I think it was an awesome look last year too.
Yeah. You did. I mean, you looked fucking killer, dude.
But
It's
I think the only difference, if I compare the result and the process, was just got ready too early and he inherited me late, and then diuretics.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So rebound, you had a very successful rebound last time.
Yes.
What did you apply from last time, and what did you do differently this year?
I definitely. So last year was the first time that I ever took it as strict as I did and do now. Where I ate with Kels like Saturday night after the show. Sunday we ate, and then Monday it was like Justin sent me a rebound plan. And I did last year, I did the first 6 weeks as if it was content, like not a gram of food off the plan. At 6 weeks out, I started doing like once a week, I would take her out to dinner. And we ended up doing 9 weeks of like an aggressive rebound. I went from 209 to 263. And at the time I was like, this looks pretty good. And then, so this time I was like, you know what? I am going to get even more from this. And I didn't change much. I changed my training style actually quite a bit. So I'm kind of contradicting myself, but I did way higher volume than I've ever done before. And for probably the first 4 weeks, when I'm still kind of feeling almost a little dry or a little like vulnerable training wise, I don't feel just like an ox where I can just go in and throw weight around. Those first 4 weeks, I didn't use load progressions as a means of added stimulus. I did volume additions. So whether it was just the same load and more reps within a set, or I would say, okay, I did these 3 sets last week. I'm going to match the first 3, and then I'm going to add a 4th set. And I felt like it would be a more gentle way of progressive stimulus. Like it didn't need to be load. And then once I got some body weight and some body fat back on me, then I started to kind of use load again as another variable. This time also my sleep schedule, and for the entire prep, this is a thing that I can say this year, like the whole year was way different than any other point in my life. My sleep schedule, I can legitimately say, was perfect. I was in bed by 9 o'clock every single night. And as you know, we're up early texting each other. I'm up early every day.
Yeah.
So I carried that. And that has happened to me in contest prep. You know, you start using Clen, you're done with your food early, you're up early for fasted cardio. That has happened to me almost every year at a certain point in contest prep. But then almost immediately you get some body fat back on and you start eating again. And now all of a sudden I'm getting my last meal in at 2:30 in the morning, which was not uncommon for me last year's Rebound, even with how successful it was. You know, Justin pushes a lot of food and it's like, man, I'm not getting this last meal in until 2:30 and then I'm in bed at 4 or something, you know? And then I'd sleep till noon and it's like, it just doesn't feel good. I can tell you that 7 hours of sleep from 9 to 5 feels way, way better than from 4 to 11. I can promise you that. And so I've kept that the entire way this time through the Rebound, like just diligent on top of literally everything, where for most of the time I'm getting my meals in. It's been a little bit later now as my appetite has slowed, but for the majority of this Rebound, I would get my final meal in like 2.5 to 3 hours before I went to bed. Yeah. And, you know, I don't know if this is bro science or what, but then I'm getting that meal in way before bed. And then I'm doing a bolus GH shot before bed. So I'm setting it up to be in an environment where my blood sugar is the best it could possibly be. So yeah. And then, you know, the other obvious thing Rebound wise, I would say the gear was about the same. I had a couple weeks where I was a little more aggressive with gear than I've ever been, but I went crazy with GH this Rebound. I had probably 5 weeks where I was at 20 IUs a day. And then I had the carpal tunnel apocalypse where it just completely prevented me from sleeping for like a week. So I had to pull it out entirely for a bit and just to get it to subside to like a manageable amount. And then I've settled back in. I've been on 8 IUs since then, since I put it back in, and that's been okay.
Good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But it's prompted me, if nothing else, I'm going to go, at the very least, I have a couple of consults scheduled for the carpal tunnel release surgery. And so I'm considering getting it because I talked to Roman Fritz and he was running crazy GH even before he got the surgery. He got carpal tunnel. He said that he dealt with the carpal tunnel and like the shitty sleep that comes with it for years. Wow. He said that he went and got the surgery and the drive home from the hospital was the first time that he had pain-free sleep in like years, he said. And then I was like, okay, awesome. He was like, it was life-changing. Do it. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. And then I was like, can I ask you, like, has it allowed you to use more GH since the surgery? And I'm sure he doesn't, he's talked about it on YouTube. I'm sure he doesn't care that I say this, but he's like, yeah, he responded, and you know how he is. He's German. He's like short. And he just writes back, yes, 2 Geno pens. And I replied and I was like, what do you mean by that? He said, per day, 2 Geno pens, which the smallest Geno pens that I've ever seen were 16 IUs. And most of like the common one that I think of is 36 IUs. So if you do some quick math there, that surgery has allowed him to use a pretty insane amount of GH. So yeah, that's been most of it for the Rebound. And then I would say like the length of the diet diligence was much longer. I'm coming up this Saturday will be 10 weeks post show for me. And other than the day after the show, I haven't had a gram of food off plan.
Yeah. You're doing 7 meals, right?
7 meals. Yeah.
It's funny. I've never done more than 5.
Really?
Yeah.
And you have to eat so much food.
Well,
I feel like I've eaten a lot of food, but you eat a ton of food.
Because
you get to space it.
Yeah, I'm not stacking meals on top of each other. But I don't know. When I have a client who's, you know, almost at my food amount, and he was eating 4 for a while. And I probably have the same reaction that you're having to me, which is like, why are you
No, it
doing
makes
4?
sense. No, it makes sense. You know what? Before I worked with Justin Harris, Justin had like a set 6 meal plan. But before I worked with Justin, I was pushing food and self-coaching.
Yeah.
And I was doing 5 meals.
Yeah.
And I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah, it works out pretty well. I mean, I eat every 3 hours.
Yeah.
My first meal is like an hour and a half after I wake up.
And then you have the appetite for these bigger meals then, too.
Yeah, I'm ready to eat.
Yeah.
So
No, that makes total sense. No, I mean, there's no it's like those considerations, like whether it's appetite, meal spacing, and then like to some degree too, like blood sugar control and like manipulation. Those are the only considerations when it comes to how many meals are optimal for a person. Like, there's no magic in 6, 7, or 4 meals.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, Roman has like the highest, like, I don't mean tolerance physically, well, probably also that, but just mentally, the highest tolerance for like pain and shittiness of any human being I know.
Easily. When he told me that like, I couldn't deal with what him and I spoke about. I couldn't deal with that degree of sleep disruption and just overall life misery. Like, it really put a halt on my life, not being able to sleep at all.
Yeah.
Like, I'm talking the moment I would lay down horizontally, both arms from my fingertips to my shoulder joint felt like they were on fire. And so I dealt with that for like a week or 9 days or something, and it put a halt on my life. So I explained that to him, and he said, yes, years. And it's just like like you said, he just has the highest pain tolerance. He has the highest tolerance for discomfort, period, in all aspects.
Yeah.
Like, he'll push crazy amounts of food, drugs, training volume, training frequency. It doesn't matter to him. He is the most hardcore bodybuilder that I've ever spoken to.
Yeah. So he was actually the reason I hired Justin, because I was like, this guy is the craziest bodybuilder I know. I have so much respect for him, and he's only
trusted Justin,
and he only has worked with one coach. Well, he had a brief stint with Milos, I think. The coach he trusted the most was Justin.
Yep.
And I was like, I got to do this.
Yeah, no, I've talked to Justin at length. Like, Justin references that time and what he's pulled from working with Roman several times, including I talked to him about the surgery. And I told Justin that I was getting the surgery, and he was like, okay, like, just keep in mind, like, that might take you like 4 or 5 weeks to come back from that. And then I was like, oh, okay. I went back and asked Roman, and he said 2 days. He said legs 2 days, 5 days, 120-pound overhead press.
Crazy.
Dumbbells. I'm like, okay, if so
maybe double the Roman.
Somewhere in the middle, then I would imagine I'd land, like, not the average person, but not this, German psychopath.
Yeah, I think you should do it. Honestly,
I'm gonna do it.
I'm gonna do it. Knowing what it's done and knowing how much benefit you've seen from the higher doses, I think it's very good investment.
Yeah, I feel like it kind of just lifts the ceiling, and it's like. That, to me, as terrible as it may sound, like, I'm honest, you know how honest I am. I do feel like the drugs are the great equalizer in terms of genetics. And so I've always had awesome labs, blood pressure, like, just really good health tolerance to all of these things. But to me, like, the biggest return that I've ever seen is from higher dose GH with, like, modest to moderately high gear or like anabolics. So to me, like, my only limiting factor, like, isn't budget. With these different things now, it's not blood sugar management. It's never been blood pressure. It's just been this fucking carpal tunnel. Yeah. So if I can go get this surgery that just lifts the ceiling off of it for me, I'm going to try it.
Yeah. I think it's worth it. I have to ask you, because I am a lifelong insomniac, and I have had those weeks where you are miserable. What was your self-talk in the middle of the night? Like, what got you through the sleepless nights?
Man, I almost, when I reflect on it, I almost feel like I was like delusional or something. Like I almost feel like I was having like out of body type experiences because I wasn't super cognizant of like what I would just go a lot of the times. I would just go sit out in the living room, whether it was on the couch or at the dining room table, and I would just try to prop myself like this and sit upright so that my arms were at my side, like hanging at my side, so that they wouldn't fill and be all swollen feeling. Um, but man, I just was like, I most of the time I was kind of just motherfucking myself. I'm like, you are such an idiot for doing this to yourself. Like, why would you do, like, I hate this. Like, why would I do this to myself? Like the shit that I go through for bodybuilding, like, is just insane. Like, why am I doing this to myself? But, yeah, it's like anything else. It was temporary. I mean, it came to an end.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah.
It took a couple days of Valium, but it subsided.
Yeah, that's a solution. And then what's your plan for your cruise? Are you doing anything differently there?
Yes. So this is definitely going to be the most aggressive cruise that I've ever done. I did labs 2 weeks post show, and no joke, they were the cleanest looking labs that I've ever had as an enhanced bodybuilder. I did them last week, and most of the numbers improved.
Wow.
Like my ALP originally was normal, but like a little low. I forget what else, like maybe you'd want to see improve the first time. Everything was better. Like, EGFR, GGT, my A1C was 4.6.
Wow. Flow.
CRP is like undetectable. Like, all these big ones are like off the charts better than I've ever seen them. And I kind of thought it might have been the other way around. Like, I don't know. I was stunned that they were what they were 2 weeks after the show, because I ran a really aggressive peak week protocol. I ran Winstrol at 200 milligrams a day. I ran Proviron 200 milligrams a day. I was on Letrozole. I kept my injectables and my GH in up until the day before the show. Like, I was fully expecting it to look like I had just done an aggressive, enhanced bodybuilding contest, and they were the best that it had ever been.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, okay, let me run this, kind of wacky drug protocol for this rebound. And whatever it is at 9 weeks after. And they were just better, which I have to chop up in, at least in some aspect, to some of the mitochondrial peptides. Like I continued the retatrutide, I continued Mots, and for the first time I trialed SS31, which I know improved my kidney function numbers as well.
I need to get my hands on that, because kidneys are the number one thing for me.
Dude, this will do it. I believe it just got FDA approved for kidney disease, for actual clinical use of kidney disease. Yes. I could be wrong about that, about the actual use, but I know it just got FDA approved. I think it was yesterday, which is the first for a lot of these things. We're kind of lab ratting most of this stuff. So I have to chop it up to that. I mean, my blood work has always been good, and I take a bucket of health supplements on a daily basis, but it was almost staggering to see what it looked like. So long story short, yes, I am going to run a higher cruise. As crazy as it sounds, I thought about running or continuing a low dose of tren through my cruise, because in my mind, I'm like, okay, as long as I can sleep. And I've noticed, because I've used it the last couple of weeks, I've used 10 milligrams a day the last couple of weeks. I noticed, like, being in a surplus and everything, no effect on my mood. It doesn't make me sour or miserable or sarcastic or anything. And so I'm like, you know what? Like, it should be a lower period in terms of the total milligrams. Like, I can get a lot for a little with this, like 10 milligrams a day. I'm still up in the air about that. I'm going to go, like, this Saturday is when I'm going to dial things back. So I have a couple days to think on it. but I'm going to run more than I've never done. The most aggressive cruise that I've ever done was the one before the prep this past year. And it was like a total of 400 milligrams. I think I did 300 tests and 100 milligrams of Masteron. But it's going to be much more. It'll probably be close to, I think that I use a lot of 300 mg per ml concentration bottles. So it'll probably be a total of 840 mgs.
Yeah.
And just divide it up however I see fit. It might be a mixture of test, EQ, and then maybe 10 milligrams of tren a day. Maybe not. It depends on how much of a psycho I feel like.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to leave the GH. I'm going to leave the GH because eight's, I've always been able to settle at 8 in the past, even when I'm like at my heaviest. So, I'm going to leave that. And then when it's time for the surgery, we'll see what they say. I'm going to tell them like point blank, like, hey, this is why I'm dealing with carpal tunnel. And this is why I want to have this surgery. I use a tremendous amount of human growth hormone. Like how would you advise me to do this? So if they tell me like following the surgery, I need to take 2 weeks off from it or something, I will.
Okay. Yeah. I think you'll be happy with how you look at the end of the cruise doing that. I think that's I think it'll honestly, still lower inflammation. You'll get some of the relief you'd normally get from a cruise, but you'll look better.
Yeah, I know Justin regardless, because I've talked to him. I was like, hey, like I'm like seeing these labs both times. Like at one point I was like, is there even like, what are we cruising for? Yeah. And he still thinks like from a mental aspect and like you said, like just like an inflammatory aspect, it makes sense. And to be totally honest with you, man, I actually felt like shit all day today. And I was like, I'm ready for this. Yeah. I'm ready for less shots. And also I know he's going to lower the food and I'm ready for that. For the first, this week for the first time, I'm like, I'm ready to be eating less. Yeah. Like this feels like a lot.
I'm there.
So, it's but no, I it's the cost of doing business. Like I'm trying to, like you talked about, I'm not there yet, but I'm trying to go from a heavyweight to a super heavyweight. I fully expect the next time that I get on stage to be 240 pounds to be competitive. Yeah. So that's, 15 or 16 pounds of tissue. And so even your quote unquote down periods, because my health is good anyway, I think it can afford to not feel like such a step back. And so I'm excited because like you talked about, there was a successful rebound and off season last year. And I just did like some comparisons for myself, like of where last year's rebound ended and how I look now, and like where the diet started last year to how I look now. And, I'm hard on myself. I don't really think I'm anything special, but I can objectively see it's like I look like a totally different person. So yeah, I'm pretty stoked about it because I started the diet basically at the exact same weight that I am now, and the whole look is way different. Yeah. Like I was an even 270 at the start of the prep last year, and I'm 271 now, and I just look way better. So it's crazy. It should be good. I need to, if I expect to be 240 on stage, I need to at least be 290. So yeah. even being a decent looking 270 right now, like there's plenty of work still to be done.
Yeah. You'll get there.
Yeah. No, I'm confident I'll get there.
What do you think you'll do differently in the off season? Like what will you do different than last time?
So I talked about the higher volume approach for the rebound, and to be totally honest with you, although I think it was appropriate for the time and where I was in terms of my body, I don't think that that's something that I will consistently use or even go back to at all in terms of the full-on off season. I didn't enjoy it quite as much, to be totally honest with you, to where I would much rather go back to being in a single set and just taking it there and being so hyper focused on not only like the intensity, but the quality of every individual rep. Like I found that when I was doing like these very, very high volume workouts, I started to almost feel like it was like an endurance workout where it's like I'm just counting the number of sets. Like it's like, okay, like, and then I would leave the gym after 2 hours and it's like, okay, I can check this box. I did 28 sets of arms. Like, but then when I think back on it, it's like, how many of them was I really locked into? Like maybe 8 of them, maybe 10 of them. Like, you know, I think it helped volumize me, and I definitely felt an increase in both appetite and thus like digestion during this rebound. But I'm looking forward to going back to more of what I know has worked because it coincides with what I've also enjoyed. Actually, it's not just like, okay, this style of training that has worked is the one that I like the least. It's actually what I like doing the most. So just I would say like a more, I wouldn't call it low volume, but I would say like moderate volume, but just a higher level of focus and intensity to each individual set. So I'm looking forward to that. I will say I've already seen it through this rebound with Justin. One difference that he's identified with me, and I did years ago, but when I started with him, I swore I was just going to hand the reins over to him. And so last year, like rebound off season, it was a little bit, or it was quite a bit higher in added fats, like oils and stuff. And man, I honestly just feel like that just makes me fat. And so this year it was just way like, you know, as soon as we started the rebound, it was a couple like meals with trace fat, like beef meals to get some back in. But then it was just like an aggressive ramp up of carbs. And so I think that approach would be the smart one to continue through the off season, especially, you know, having these other tools. Like, you know, I was using quite a bit of Lantus as well to go along with the retatrutide. Like I did all that while wearing a continuous glucose monitor. And that was very insightful. So it's like, I know that these tools work to manage my blood sugar on higher carbs, higher growth hormones. So it's like, I'm going to continue that approach into the off season. And then another aspect that'll be different is I'm going to give myself more time than last year. I think it's hard to expect another 15 pounds of tissue in less than a year. So I'm going to shoot for, I competed at the end of July. I'm going to shoot for something next fall.
Yeah, I think that's great. It's really interesting. I think I've had the same experience with high volume. I like training high volume a lot, but after a few weeks of it or a month of it, it starts to feel like chores in the gym.
It felt like a chore. Yeah. Every time I went to the gym, it felt like a chore. More so than like, I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. Yeah. And that just can't be productive.
And I think it was like, I think all of us that are involved in this, like we've trained ourselves to put our feelings about something aside in the moment to just go get the task done. But then it's like, man, I should be enjoying this. Yeah. Like, this is not, especially, man, okay, yeah, the last 4 or 5 weeks before a contest, it feels like it's a chore and it feels like you're going through the motions, which I don't like. I like to train hard and feel capable. But man, like if we're talking about off-season training and like trying to add new tissue, like it should feel productive, but it should also be fun. You should be excited to go do it every day. So I'm gonna gauge how I feel like when the quote unquote cruise ends. And I wouldn't be opposed to going to like a 4-day split for a bit and seeing how that makes me feel. And kind of help partly gauging that based on how I'm sleeping and recovering and stuff. So we'll see.
Yeah. The last like 2 weeks, just with the move and upcoming trip to Europe. I've been doing 2 on, 1 off, upper, lower, off. Just because it lined up well with like the day we're moving, the day we're flying. And it's actually felt great. Like I feel well recovered.
So how have you liked group like that split, like that upper lower split?
So I love upper lower.
Do you?
Normally, like,
You know what? You did this when we worked together, I feel like.
yeah,
Didn't we have you set up on an upper
yeah, it was
upper
basically
lower?
upper lower, 3 upper days, 2 lower days. I always
3
come
upper
back to
days,
that.
that's right.
Um,
Yeah.
I know some of your grievances with upper lower.
Yeah.
Like, I can get a pump pretty easily off 2 sets.
Yeah.
So,
No, I like hearing other people's
so
perspectives too.
that's good for me. And it's just nice to have like a full upper body pump. It feels good.
Yeah. Yes.
And I feel like the frequency is beneficial. One thing
I agree.
When I do 3 upper days a week, the only change I make is one day I don't train chest. One upper day I don't train chest at all, because I feel like chest 3 times a week is too much. But back 3 times a week is fine. Delts.
Yep.
But I purposely leave chest off of one day.
Yep. That's smart, and that's funny because that is, I tore my pec probably 10 years ago, and it was during the only time period that I ever tried training my chest 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And it was just, I know it just ended up being overused.
Yeah. Yeah. So I really enjoy it. Like, I mean, I need a bigger chest and bigger legs. So, like, I think it kind of makes sense in terms of priority.
It makes sense. Yeah, it makes total sense. Yeah, and if you feel like you're recovering, man, how is it? Let me ask you though. So, the psycho in me, I've never felt like I'm settled when I'm on like a rotating schedule like that. Does that not bother you?
Yeah, I'll go back to training 5 days.
Okay.
After.
Okay. Like a set day of the week split. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I prefer that. That's what
like with work and everything. Like I like to be able to schedule. Like, okay, Wednesday is my off day. That's when I'm gonna go ship out shirts and take care of this.
That's
whatever.
what I'm gonna go back to. It just lined up really well with the actual day we're moving, the day we moved, and the flight to do it this way for 2 weeks. But normally I do 3 upper days, 2 lower days.
Okay, right on.
Yeah.
And have you ever toyed with just a set 4 days?
For a very brief period, I think during a cruise, I did that.
And did And did you?
Actually, it was I think it was like 2 months. I felt really good. It's like the only time in bodybuilding where I haven't felt like a low level of fatigue all the time. Like,
all the time.
I just felt like really good all the time.
I was just reading my notes, dude. I did a set 4-day split during the cruise after my post-show rebound last year. And I was reading the notes about it, and I wrote in all caps to myself, this should be the split every cruise. And I like just stumbled across this now. I'm like, oh, okay. I guess I put this in all caps for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you'll feel better. Your productivity will go up. You'll
because I noticed, dude, like I'm at a point now, like you get up into these heavier body weights and you start eating this much food and stuff, and I feel like a slug all the time. Like that's one thing that I almost immediately miss about contest prep. I felt like hyper productive and capable throughout the majority of my contest prep. I've always heard other people talk about that, like how they feel a little hungry and they don't have to eat as much, so they feel super productive and all this stuff. I had always just felt super exhausted. And then this time, like I think using some of these peptides, having it managed better by Justin and all these things, I felt that. And that's when I started churning out like all the YouTube content and stuff. So I miss that now because everything feels like a chore now.
Yeah.
So
cool. Well, we'll wrap it here. I know you're a busy man. I want to be respectful of your time. I had some like bodybuilding fan questions to ask.
Oh, awesome.
I'll save those
let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay. I'll hit you with one. So what changes would you make at the NPC level if you had decision power? It can be changes to divisions, qualifying,
I have a couple.
shows.
Yeah, I have a couple. I would do an all-black backdrop for prejudging standard every single show. You have to have this. I think lighting and the standard plain black backdrop all should be like a signed-off requirement that the NPC approves for every single promoter at every single show. And then what I would do at every single show as well is I would have all of the men go straight through in the morning. Like they do, like you guys come out to be compared together for prejudging. You go in the, like, we go bodybuilding, classic, men's physique, and then we bring bodybuilders out to do their routine and awards, and then there's an intermission, and then the ladies go in the evening or early afternoon. I mean, I've done a couple shows that have done this, and it is awesome.
Yeah.
It's good for everyone involved because there's not this big crazy break in between. And then you're able to perfectly time everything because it runs on schedule. So those are the two big ones that I can think of. I would also say doing that, it would allow for, I think, every athlete at prejudging, before they come out within the lineup, I think every athlete should get to come out, even if it's for 15 seconds or ideally 30 seconds, and hit a couple shots quickly as an individual.
That's what my show was this year. They had 15 seconds.
Come out and hit 3 shots and then get a feel for the stage, get those quick little jitters out. It's nice, like that might be your best look. So if you get those 15 seconds on camera, and you get to live with those photos forever, because you go back, you're nervous when you come out for the lineup or whatever, and you might not look exactly the same or whatever the case is. So that, and I just have always felt like for bodybuilding, man, like especially the more muscular I've gotten, and the more, just in general, the more like bodybuilders are more muscular, so there's more fluid to be managed. Man, we're going out for finals at 5, 6, 7 p.m. and those are the only photos that are going on the NPC website. Yeah. It's like, dude, I looked drastically different this morning at prejudging. Yeah. I looked hard as nails at prejudging. And then, I don't necessarily, like, it depends on how you manage things or whatever. But this year for my show was the first year that I ever felt like I was just as hard. Like, I preferred my finals look for the first time ever. Because so often it's like, no matter what you do with the food, you stay on plan, you take a nap in between, whatever, man, you're still going to be 4 pounds heavier just from food and water. And it's like, I would like the NPC show or the NPC photos that go on the website to be more reflective of the conditioning. I am like hyper focused on conditioning when it comes to bodybuilding. I feel like.
Yeah, I like your idea of the 15-second. I would eliminate routines at the end. Like either the winners do their routine. It's like a reward for winning. Before you do the overalls.
I like that.
Or it's like top 3 or something. But this, like, every single person who registered and paid a fee does a routine. You're just buying a routine, and it drags on so long.
It does.
Long.
It does, especially when it's every class is a full minute for every competitor, because it's like, man, some of these, right. And then it's like some of these, man, some like for classic, it's like, man, there's 20 guys in some of these lineups, even at local shows. And it's like every, no offense, I don't mean to sound like a gatekeeper or anything, but like every 160-pound TikTok kid is gonna come out and do a full minute of a routine. Like, I'm with you. I like the idea, even if it was just the winner or just the top 3, I think would be a really good compromise.
Yeah. And I also think this is going to be controversial, but bodybuilding should just be one class.
Oh. You know what? I can't disagree, because they kind of did. That was kind of the vibe of the show that I did this year that I described. And although, like I kind of talked about it might have been nice. It might have felt like a little bit of a different experience to say, like, hey, I was the winner of the heavyweight class, didn't get the overall. But my overarching feelings were not that at all. I was not the best guy that was here, and so what difference does it make?
Yeah.
I'm with you. I like that, actually.
I just think in general, there's too many classes, too many people, too much time. Too much special treatment.
Yeah. I like grouping it all together in the morning. So it's not like, okay, you're done in 90 seconds in the morning. And then you have to now go like a lot of times it's like, okay, prejudging is at 9 because bodybuilders go first. You're done at 9:30.
Yep.
And then the expediters are like, okay, be back at 5 for prejudging. It's like, what the fuck do you want me to do all day? Not only do you want me to do all day, what do you want my parents, my 60-year-old parents? What are they doing all day?
Yeah. I can't tell you how many people my wife...
That I got to lay around in this greasy fucking spray tan. Like,
I can't tell you how many people my wife invited to my first show and how many of them asked me, so what are we doing between prejudging?
Right.
Like,
it's like, I don't know what you're doing. I can tell you what I'm doing.
I was like, I'm sorry. I don't have a plan to entertain you for 6 hours in the middle of nowhere.
Right. Like, I'm not even at a home. Like, what do you want me to do? You want me to dance in the parking lot for you?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's crazy.
No, I've done a couple shows where they did all of us just first, like just straight through all in the morning, and it was awesome, man.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
That sounds really nice.
You know what? I did a show in Pennsylvania that did that. And I think they do that out there quite a bit.
Okay.
I think like the Gary Udit shows, they do that quite a bit. I just think it's a way better format. I think it's better for everybody. That, and it's like, man, like the girls have so much going on with makeup and hair and everything else. Like you tell them that prejudging is at 2:00, it's way less stressful of a morning.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually, for the women.
Some of these girls are up at 3:00 in the morning getting their makeup done.
Yeah, it starts
it's crazy.
so early.
Yeah.
I learned that from talking to the tanning people. I was like, you got a long day tomorrow?
Dude, those,
I'm going to be here at 3 to start.
The longest. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy.
What else? What other questions?
That's good. We'll leave it there.
Okay.
We'll leave it there. Thank you so much for the time. People want to reach out to you for coaching. Where should they go? And don't just give your Instagram in case you lose it again.
Yeah, I got, I mean, it's Jay Perch is the Instagram. My name, you can just find me everywhere on all those socials. And then my coaching website is premierphysiques.coach.
Cool. Awesome.
Yep.
I'll have those links in the show notes. People can check that out. And thanks again for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Always.